Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or at strongcreditrewards.com.
Nelson.
Good gravy.
A radio host.
Found myself $2 million short of a millionaire.
Barely understandable.
Gee, Monetti.
We can rebuild him.
Guy's bright as a napkin.
We have the technology.
You gotta work with design, vision, and focus.
Better than he was before.
It's not lonely in my head.
Funnier.
I'm staring at a bowl of spaghetti trying to figure out which two ends come together.
More informative.
Characters defined by what you do once you screw up, not if you make mistakes along the way.
And just as sarcastic.
You sausage.
Oh, come on!
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
Welcome to Nelson Radio, heard right here on KTLK AM 1150. We're back in the Burbank studios, and I'm with my good friends, Phil Giangran, our producer, and Adam Evans, our production manager. We're going to have an unbelievable show today. We're looking at a couple of different things. In our last show, we were looking at really the dynamic of higher interest rates. And is that good for our housing recovery? Is that bad for our housing recovery? And this whole show, we're going to take a look at a different angle on that, risk versus reward. And this is something that the lending community struggles with all the time. How much risk should they take in making a loan to somebody versus the reward of just getting, Phil, paid back on schedule?
Who wants that?
Who wants that? Who wants to be a lender and just get paid back? How boring, right?
Right.
And so we're going to take a look at risk versus reward, what's too much risk, what's not enough, and also how that impacts us in our house buying decisions. Looking at that in terms of how we perform in our business. Looking at that from in Coach's Corner, we're going to be with Joey Johnson, an author of Worthy to Win, and he's going to take a look at that fear of reward and fear of taking risks and how that impedes our performance. And then, of course, we're going to go to a mortgage panel with our Academy Mortgage expert, Jay Oku, who's in studio with us, lending expert from Hawaii and here in California, and also Terrence Brandley, a longtime veteran to the mortgage industry. And we're just going to pitch and pass on some questions. What are the dilemmas of mortgage lending from a lender's perspective? Why are they driving consumers nuts with the kind of requests that they have for the volume of documentation? And just looking at the reality of lending becoming easier or lending becoming harder. As I've said in past shows, Phil, it's like pulling teeth without Novocaine. At least that's what people think.
Yeah, I want to know when the stated income loans are going to be back and strong because, for people who make money from a lot of different sources, it's hard to invest. It's hard to get into property investment without it.
Well, and it will come back. And I'm certain Terrence and Jay will talk about that, but it's going to come back for those people that are actually it was designed for. Who's eligible for that? Somebody that, as an example, Jay, somebody that has $5 million in the bank, they're buying a $3 million home, and their tax return says they make $1 a year.
It happens.
It happens.
We see
And
it all
so
the time.
that's who's designed to receive the stated income, as opposed to somebody that's cutting hair at Fantastic Sam's and is about to go sign up for a $500,000 mortgage. May not make sense, right?
What was that place? Fantastic Sam's?
Yeah, that's good. I'm certain I'm coming out of there bald next time I go in. So we're going to have our mortgage panel, and then, of course, with our Street Noise segment coming up here, we're going to take a look at some of the hot headlines and things that are impacting our marketplace. With this show, I want you listening to give me a call. And here's the invitation. We've got a couple of tools here that are perfect for you. One is the 8 buyer mistakes. We have an e-guide that we want to distribute to you. You can call us for that by calling 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or just click through at nelsonradio.com, the 8 buyer mistakes and how to avoid them. And then we also have our e-guide on higher rates, how that impacts us, how that's going to benefit us, in my opinion, and some of the details on why that's good for our housing market, as opposed to the fear that kind of ripples through the housing community of, rates have gone from 3.5% to 4.5%, the sky's falling kind of reaction, which is so far from the...
I love those e-guides because it's a chance for people to kind of take on their education themselves. You know, they can find out without having to ask or rely on too many people, too many questions. You know, they could just go online and find half of the answers they're ever going to need right there.
And it's going to be a benefit not only in that, but just to have some clear direction. What I find no different than when I'm coaching tennis. My background in professional tennis, now coaching back at my alma mater at UC Irvine with the men's tennis team. People respond to clear direction, defined advice, wise counsel in terms of how to perform better, just how to make a decision without this, did I make the right decision, the wrong decision? Do I need to go forward by hurrying up and backing up kind of pandemonium that's out there in the business community and in the post-recession environment? A lot of people are scared.
That's right. And it does seem like the more information you give people, the quicker they come around to making decisions and to feeling like they've got control of their finances. And that's the big thing right now.
Well, and I think control of your finances is being imposed back into the home buying public with firmer guidelines as far as qualifying for new financing. But I think it's well-deserved in the context that not allowing through these guidelines to people to get buried like what we saw through the mortgage meltdown and the Great Recession. And so, yeah, there are some good elements coming out of these governors that are being placed in the marketplace so that people just don't simply get financially buried like what we saw since 2006 on.
Are you having to turn away people at all now that come to you for loans, or are you pretty much able to get anybody financed that's reasonable?
Yeah, I don't know, Jay. What do you think about that? I don't think it's turning away as much as maybe putting a little bit of a dampener on what they want versus what they can truly qualify for. What are your thoughts?
And it's tough to let them down in this. I wouldn't call it a stringent market, but it is definitely, there's a lot of oversight and there's a lot of guidelines that are put in place to kind of weed out certain people that may have self-employment issues. And in that case, we are running into a situation where we're taking off the blindfold, maybe setting expectations 2 years down the road and helping them put the proper the ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more preparation. And getting back to the e-guide, which I'm not exactly sure what it is, I'll take a look at that. But it's shows like this where people can go and get a accountable group of professionals to come together and be a team to help these people through this process, because it takes a CPA, it takes a financial planner, and a mortgage professional and the realtor all to come together as one to really help people hit their goals when it comes to real estate these days.
And much more of a strategy. I think that people are just not looking at the point of purchase. They're looking, like Jay said, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road in terms of, all right, what if the unthinkable? Triplets show up instead of, a single baby. Or what if somebody loses their job? Is there enough margin there? What if there's a hiccup in employment, a gap between one job and the next? And is there enough financial reserve to carry somebody through so they don't feel like they're reaching behind the couch cushions for gas money kind of a thing?
Or the thing that scares scares me, keeps me up at night is health issues. Going to the hospital is like, emptying your bank account basically. And that I think a lot of people are nervous about that, and they want to be prepared for that. And you're right, having a team especially when you're buying property or making big purchases like that, you need to feel secure.
Well, and let's face it, it's a complex financial world. And I'm going to liken it back to when I played professional tennis. At the time that I turned pro, you essentially needed you as an athlete and perhaps an agent or an attorney to manage and guide you on the business front. Today's world of that same professional tennis player, now 200 years forward, is you have a nutritionist, you have a strength and agility coach, you have a fitness coach, you have a mental coach, you have your tennis coach or fleet of tennis coaches. So you look right now, the U.S. Open going on, you look at Djokovic and his crew on the sidelines. He has a team literally of 12 to 15 people that surround him just on his performance side, not even speaking to the asset management and business management and investments and all of that.
Exactly. Yeah, you might as well do that with your finances too. I mean, where else do you need it more?
And why wouldn't you? And so I think in our mortgage industry, we're seeing many people called loan officers and loan originators, but I think that's morphing into mortgage strategists, where you have a clear idea. And so we're going to dive into that as we go through our mortgage panel. I want you to stick with us. We're going to front load Coach's Corner, be with Joey Johnson, Worthy to Win, author of this book. And we're going to be giving away an e-copy of that book for the first 20 respondents. You can call us at 888-888-2136 to say that slower, Phil. 888-888-2136, or click through at nelsonradio.com and we'll get you that ebook, Worthy to Win. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Coach's Corner.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Best Chauffeured. The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 023501.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Insurance Incorporated.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio right here on KTLK AM 1150. And we're going to do something a little bit out of order. It's going to be great advice, great direction, and great insight from an author of a book called Worthy to Win. I want to remind you, as you drive around, if you call us, one of the first 20 callers, we'll send you an e-copy of this book, Worthy to Win, authored by Joey Johnson. And it's an insight on really how we perform. And it fits well with our theme today as we talk about risk versus reward. So first of all, I want to welcome Joey Johnson to the program. How are you, Joey?
I'm doing good, Nelson. Thank you.
It's a great topic because you talk about the worthy to win and some of the things that we put in front of ourselves that get in the way. Give us a little bit of insight.
Well, about 15 years ago, I was coaching on the pro tennis tour, and in the midst of that experience, I saw so many players who were so talented, and you see that, very high level of technical development. It's so similar in many respects for a lot of those players, and yet when you see some of these players that emerge, or these athletes that emerge to the top, the mental side became very evident to me, and so that's when I started really digging my heels in and working more toward becoming a mental performance coach and helping with some of those intangibles. And so over the past 15 years, I've developed a very distinct process that I've worked with a lot of athletes in various sports, and as well as spent some time at the Olympic Training Center and worked with college teams, some pro athletes, and businesses. I've spent 10 years in corporate America and in the sales aspect, and so I've worked with a lot of people on the sales end as well.
Let me ask you this, because you begin your book with understanding the performer within you. And I think most coaching today, whether it's in business or in sports, kind of homogenizes the performer. There's not this individualized identity of, well, I'm this kind of a performer or that kind of performer. They're just given instructions on how to perform in that corporate model. What's the difference?
Well, what I discovered is that with the great athletes is that they, the great ones seem to have this ability to kind of use their unique way of thinking about things, their unique way of performing, and really hold true to it. And so what I've found over the years in working with people is that once they understand their mental style, what's natural for them, and you can certainly you can enhance it, but oftentimes, you have some people that have just for their whole lives have been just really aggressive, for example, and others that are much more patient and more laid back, and and I think both can work if they understand how to use it. So that's where it all starts, understanding your identity, and that's your mental style.
We're with Joey Johnson, author of Worthy to Win, and we're taking a look at risk versus reward. I love one of the comments that you make about the 7 faces of a champion. Now, I'm thinking that's just 7 different photos of me, but that's probably not the case, huh?
Oh, no, that's exactly where it came from. But no, what that is that's 7 different mental styles, and some of them blend together. So what I basically, in my years of coaching, I observed that there were, quite a few different mental styles, and most people that go through that assessment will find probably at least 2 of those mental styles they can really relate to. And then from there, to drill down a little deeper, what we look at is really honing in on the strengths of that style that person has, and then the weaknesses, so that they can, kind of shore those up and use that mental style to their advantage. And they combine it with we'll call it their playing style, whether that's, for an athlete or a business person. Once those 2 merge together consistently, that's when I've seen momentum really build for people.
In business right now here in Southern California and throughout the nation, we're seeing an economic recovery, and the housing market specifically is leading the charge with this thirst for real estate with the consumer and home buyers and home sellers that are very active in the marketplace. And so the trend line and the momentum has been established. But you talk about riding that wave to your next breakthrough. And it's just for a period of time. I interpret that as if you're in a current cycle, it's just for a period of time. And do you prepare for the next one while you're on that wave, or you just riding the wave as you go?
Well, that's a great question, Nelson. And I think the highest performers they're riding the wave, but they're always preparing for what's next, and they're reading into what's coming next. And this is kind of, I think, one of the big things that prepares people to be able to take the risks that are necessary. You know, we talk about risk and reward, that if we're constantly kind of preparing for things that may happen that we might not even think of, but we're ready, in a sense, mentally and emotionally, if things change. That's the key, I think. That mental and emotional stability and strength always developing, I think, is what keeps, certainly on the athletic side, keeps people in the game, so to speak, when something happens that they might not have prepared for, and they're able to ride through it a lot more effectively. With that, you have a statement in your book about uncovering the need to win. Mm-hmm. And I think culturally we're all coached in that same category of you need to win. In fact, in the tennis realms, there was one very prominent tennis player that said that he was ranked number 2 in the world, and he said the U.S. is the only place that you can be number 2 and fail. So uncovering your need to win, do people not have a sense of that need? As far as, well, I think there's a lot of people that don't really understand their true motivations. I mean, we all, I guess everybody knows that we're trying to win at something, but sometimes, drilling down to what really motivates someone and what winning really means to them, it can be different for people. And this is where I think self-sabotage can enter in. For example, you might have some people that their identity is so connected to winning that they don't take the risks. They don't allow themselves to develop in new areas and strengthen things because they're so concerned about, the identity of just getting the win, whether it's winning the match or the game or winning the sale. And I think that's a big problem. One of the things that's been really interesting to me is that a lot of what I think stops people mentally is their inability just to say, I've got to keep getting better. That is the bigger picture. Now, we all want to win at the end of the day, but are we getting better? And that's where the need to win needs to be kind of framed correctly. Does that make sense? No, it totally makes sense. And you think of the examples, whether it be Tiger Woods, who was number 1 in the world and still looking to reinvent himself and improve his game. Andy Murray wins Wimbledon, wins a gold medal in the Olympics, still looking for ways to enhance his game on the field of tennis. And so I think that's very insightful. It's a great book, and I want to encourage you to take advantage of it. We've got e-copies of this book to extend to you, 20 copies. I want to thank Joey Johnson, the author of Worthy to Win, for being with us. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Nelson. Good luck to everybody out there. Thank you. And it's going to be a good motivator. Call us direct. This will get you a copy emailed directly over to you at 888-888-2136. That's 888-2136. Phil, I know I need to pour through this, discovering my motives to win. And so check it out. You can also click through at nelsonradio.com. Stay tuned. We're going to go back into our mortgage panel looking at risk versus reward coming up in our next segment. Stay with us.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Insurance Incorporated.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 0235301.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio. That was really insightful as we listened to Joey Johnson, some of the tips and insights from his book that we'll have an e-copy for, Worthy to Win. All you need to do is contact us direct at 888-888-2136. That's 888-2136, or click through at nelsonradio.com. We'll get you an e-copy of his book. And Jay, as we're looking at risk versus reward, I mean, he brought up a good story offline talking about Ivan Lendl, and after he lost to Djokovic in the Australian Open, and not Ivan Lendl,
Andy Murray.
Andy Murray, there you go. And his coach, Ivan Lendl, was saying, listen, you need to take certain risks as you get towards the end of the match. In a fourth set and a fifth set, you can't expect that Djokovic is going to lose the match for you.
Don't be too passive.
Don't be too passive. Yeah, right. And to push and to take a certain level of risk. And so I have with us also Terrence Brandley, longtime mortgage professional, a mortgage expert, a loan strategist, and Jay Oku, of course, from Academy Mortgage. And we're taking a look at really just the condition of where we've been in the mortgage sector, where we are, and where we need to go. And I want to take a look back at the question that was asked by our producer, Terrence. First of all, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson. Thanks for having me, and I'm glad to be here.
So in terms of a question that came up before we started our broadcast today was, is the stated income loan ever going to come back?
You know, that's a good question, Nelson, and I think what's a better way to look at it is that what happened with the subprime industry and what originally was a good loan with the stated income loan, and then, quite frankly, got abused in the industry. And I think there absolutely is a need for it, probably now more than ever. But you know, it's just really going to depend on to whether or not the banks are going to be willing to take that risk and come back into the marketplace. Really, what seems like not too long after what we went through with the subprime mess. So it's a very good question. I think there definitely is a need for it. Your guess is as good as mine as to when the banks are going to feel comfortable enough coming out with the product like that.
And like we saw, Jay, our industry overcorrected, and it's maybe starting to soften a little bit in terms of a little bit more of logic and reason coming into these guidelines and lending processes. Do you find it tolerable enough when we're extending loans now to people, or is it still excruciatingly painful?
There's a level of pain that goes into a file, and it tethers back to Joey's interview. It was really inspiring. But there's a level of risk and reward in going into the loan process, and you need to know what's ahead of you. So setting expectations is critical in understanding what's going to be asked of you and the scrutiny that's going to go into your financial profile. And as far as the subprime or the stated income side, it's really going to go back to the banks. When they're willing to take the risk for that reward, it'll have to be a little bit of a higher interest rate environment. I think you're going to start seeing more of those opportunities arise again.
Hey, with Terrence, let me ask you this. In terms of, as you sit down with loan applicants, and let's say you have a young couple that comes in and they want to buy that starter home of $750,000, and maybe you can get them qualified, but you recognize that, okay, they're qualified from a debt-to-income standpoint, but it's stretching them to the very limits of their financial capacity where they're now living for that mortgage payment. Are you just following through whatever they're eligible for, or are you coaching them down? I mean, what kind of stance do you take?
You know what, Nelson? It's very timely. I just had a similar instance no more than a week or two ago, and it wasn't quite 750, but it was right around 650. He was a veteran. He'd come back from fighting over in Afghanistan, and he's worked for a very good employer here in Orange County, Disney, and has great income, and was going to take advantage of a VA loan, but they were really going to find themselves living, to pay that mortgage and using every cent and dollar, and they have a couple of girls that are in club sports and like to go on vacations. And I just suggested to them, don't get me wrong, I love real estate. It's a great investment, but, you also have to factor in your quality of life and making sure that you're not, putting every single dollar going towards your mortgage payment and not enjoying life and enjoying the things that your kids and you enjoy doing. So I personally try and remind them that while real estate is a great investment, their home is a great investment, they want to make sure that they're taking into consideration the other factors as well.
You're with Nelson Radio, where you're listening to Terrence Brandley, longtime mortgage professional and Academy Mortgage's own Jay Oku. Jay, with your background, you've done a ton of VA and FHA financing. Do you find that the military community, let's use that exact example, they've come back from deployment, they're now settling into civilian life, that they maybe want to stretch for a little bit more to kind of almost make up for being gone for, during the conflicts that they were deployed in?
The VA loan's unique in that there are guidelines that, all loans and the VA loans were lenient. So they actually brought about a little more leniency and liberalization of mortgage guidelines in general to the overall industry. However, they won't lend over a certain debt-to-income ratio, so it keeps people within their means to a degree. But we don't want anyone losing sleep over a mortgage payment. But I do run into several veterans and active duty soldiers who have plans to retire in a particular area. They're only here for 3 years, so we make sure that while they're at this duty station, they're going to be comfortable, and that mortgage will be paid by the rents. But we're seeing a lot of self-made real estate investors in the military community, which is great to see. They've earned this benefit, and I just like helping them out.
It's really insightful what you said, and you agreed with this, Terrence, in terms of having balance. And we see, this acronym that we've sent around for a long, long time. We call it the sitcom: single income, 2 children, overwhelming mortgage. And that's not a lifestyle. Okay, they can buy into a community, but it doesn't create a lifestyle if you can't afford to feed your kids or take them to Disneyland, as the case may be. So for us as mortgage professionals, I think bringing back that level of discernment and saying, hey, okay, maybe you can stretch to a $500,000 mortgage, but at $450,000, you have that kind of balance, makes great economic sense. I think that's sound advice.
I agree. Yeah, with Terrence, I think we'd all agree in this mortgage industry now, where we've weeded out a lot of the greed in this industry. Everyone was in the mortgage industry a while back. We've survived this, and we're looking at helping people. And whether they buy in 2 months or 2 years, we really want to guide them and to get their hands around this and use it as just a leverage tool to create wealth and do it the right way, and they don't have to rush into it.
I couldn't agree more, and that's really where I think the experienced loan officers that we have in the industry now are of significant benefit to really helping people, guide them, and to really serve as a mortgage consultant for these folks.
Wise counselors. Exactly. Stay with us. We're gonna break here, but you're with Terrence Brandley, longtime mortgage professional, 15-year veteran, J.O. Koo from Academy Mortgage, FHA VA specialist, and my own background in the mortgage industry, 29 years of giving counsel to people across all of California and the western states. Stay with us. We've got our ebook that we're extending to you. If you simply call in, all you need to do is call me direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. It is a great read, a great motivator, and frames out exactly how we can compete in this marketplace that we're in real estate. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower costs. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 023531.
Academy Mortgage Corporation is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations. NMLS number 331060. Corporate license number 4170013. Offer extended. Offer not accepted. Extended. Not accepted. Are you in the market for a new home but concerned that by the time you actually find your dream home, higher mortgage interest rates will have you priced out of the market? Academy Mortgage has the answer. With Academy Mortgage's exclusive lock and shop rate guarantee, you can freeze today's low interest rates while you shop for your new home, all with the peace of mind that your guaranteed rate is waiting for you at the finish line. Today's rate, protected and waiting for you to purchase your perfect dream home. Call or click to reach Academy Mortgage today. 888-888-2136 and lock in your rate. 888-888-2136. Squash fear from perhaps the most important decision, your home. 888-888-2136 or click on strongcreditrewards.com.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio. I'm with Terrence Brandley, 15-year veteran to the mortgage industry, a defined mortgage strategist, and a great counselor, someone that takes genuine insight and care into his counsel that he extends to his clients. And then J.O. Koo from Academy Mortgage, my partner in the mortgage business down in South County, specialist with VA financing. FHA financing. And I think specifically with the VA financing, a different role that you have to play in terms of somebody that's been disconnected perhaps with their military deployment, disconnected from maybe some of the disciplines and mortgage decisions that need to be made, and you can provide that kind of financial counsel along their home buying process. And so we wanted to continue. We looked at just in this last segment on where the mortgage industry has been, and I want to take a look at where it is today. And we've been talking about risk versus reward. Obviously, lenders are risk aversive. They don't want to lend to people that are not going to pay back the loan, right? Correct. Simple stuff. And so is the industry, has it overcorrected in the context of today's lending practice? What do you think?
Well, it's similar to the TSA. If they overcorrected in their scrutiny or their pat downs, and it's very similar in the industry. If you can pass the scrutinization and you go through all of the
I can never understand why you pat down your customers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you can make it through the initial audit and you're prepared and your loan officers set the expectations that you're going to need to have these documents in this time frame, and they've laid it out for you, well, then you'll be ready to weather the new norm of mortgage lending.
You know, Terrence, one of the e-guides that we're making available to our listeners are the 8 buyer mistakes, and one of them is just that, being prepared. And you do have to have your financial and documented life in order in terms of the bank statements and the pay stubs and the W-2s and addresses that match and the tracking of deposits. I mean, it can go on, but is there a way to proactively prepare for that so it's not this pain-induced kind of experience that people are just trying to survive?
I think so, and I think one of the first steps is to, I think a lot of times, like all of us, we love to shop, right? So you go online and we start looking at products and we start looking at homes we want to buy. And I think one of the biggest mistakes is jumping out there and a realtor before you sit down and go, okay, let's get our stuff together. Let's talk to a qualified mortgage consultant. And a lot of times the good realtors out there, the folks that we're all partners with, can put you in touch with them. But I think that's one of the most important things for people to do is get their financial statements and their financial data together so that they can get a pre-qualification, understand what documentation is going to be needed, and really understand what they're going to be able to qualify for. So I think that's really important, kind of doing that homework and that gathering of the data before. It makes the process so much easier and so much less stressful.
Well, like I shared with you, Terrence, Jay and I have been promoting the same as cash offer for those home buyers out there that do have financing, do require financing, and they're competing with the all-cash buyer, but reversing the process where they're not just getting a pre-qualification. Maybe a loan officer that looks at a credit, looks at a pay stub and says, you're fine, go out there and buy whatever you want to buy, and then we'll get you a loan when it's time. In contrast to that, taking the loan process up front all the way through the underwriting phase, satisfying the conditions to that underwriting, and so that there's just 5 things left to do, which is find the home, escrow, title insurance, appraisal, and home inspection, and you're done. And to me, it just makes so much sense. I'll
tell you, that is so important. And I just was reading a statistic earlier this week that, here in Southern California, almost 33% of the homes last year in our area were purchased with cash. So, that puts, the folks looking to get a mortgage for the property, which is the majority of us, at a little bit of disadvantage. So a product like that, an offering like that that you guys have is phenomenal and a real asset.
Let me ask you guys how you prepare somebody that's in escrow. And they're now going through the process. There's that waiting for the closing date. It could be 30 days, 45 days, in some instances 60 days. Are you giving them clear instruction on what to do during your purchase?
On my side, I'm a psychologist. I'm holding hands. There's a lot of emotions going on during this process, and I just need to be there. I need to have my phone on at 10 o'clock at night. I have to let them know that they have their team of professionals, their realtor, myself, even a CPA on backup, because there's CPA letters and there's financial documents from your financial advisor that need to be. So I prepare everyone that this is a 30-day process that we're going to be going in together, and we're in that foxhole together. We're going to make sure that they're not left out to dry. We don't want them going to sleep that night wondering about the process. So that's our job. It's really guide
I agree,
them through the
and
process.
I think it's so often, we because it's commonplace to us as mortgage and real estate professionals. We're in this business every day. People buy groceries once a week and get gas in the car every week, but they're buying a home once every 7 years. And so it really is. And again, this is the biggest purchase, one of the biggest purchases they're going to make in their life. So it is important to to be that consultant, be that psychologist, like you said, and just be there for them with whatever questions that they have.
You're with Nelson Radio. You're with the mortgage professionals of J.O. Koo with Academy Mortgage, longtime professional Terrence Brandley down in Orange County. And we're just kind of looking at where we've been in the mortgage lending business, where we are today, and how to perform. I want to encourage you to take advantage of the 8 buyer mistakes. We've identified them. We have an e-guide that we can extend to you. All you need to do is give me a call at 888-888 888-2136. I'm getting told that I'm just firing this phone number out at you. 888-2136, or easier yet, just go to nelsonradio.com and we'll get that guide out to you. One thing that I do know in the mortgage process is that the mistakes that people make while they're in escrow, they go, oh, here we're going to move into this home and let's go get that new car.
Let's go buy the furniture. Let's go get the car.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So here you have that sound. Let me get the sound effect. So what do you do with that, Terrence?
Well, I think we've all been through that, right? And one of just like we talked about sitting down with the borrower or the home buyer at the beginning of the process, and I try and just forewarn them of the importance of whatever you do, don't make any financial decisions in terms of getting a credit card, purchasing a car. These are all things that can affect your debt-to-income ratio, and more importantly, the creditworthiness is whether or not a lender is going to make that home loan to you. And again, I think it's just one of those things we all learn the hard way. We're like kids. We make a mistake, we stub our toe once, and we never do it again. And that's just one of those things we really, as mortgage consultants, need to sit down with our borrowers up front and remind them, whatever you do, don't do anything.
And this is what good coaching is. That's mistake number 7 in terms of avoiding those kinds of purchases, effectively standing down with your purchase while you're in escrow, and then after the fact, as you close, you can do what you want to do. You're restored to full autonomy. I think it's great advice. Terrence Brandley, I want to thank you for being with us, mortgage professional down in Orange County, and my partner in the mortgage sector of being a wise counselor, J.O. Koo, a specialist in FHA and VA financing with Academy Mortgage. Thanks for being with me.
We appreciate what you do,
thank
Nelson.
You for having me.
We only flashed on 3 of the 8 mistakes, and so I want to encourage you, get our e-guide. It's good, wise, direct counsel, and it'll help you through your home purchasing process. You can get that simply by calling me at 888-2136. Simple enough. 888-888-2136, or just click through to nelsonradio.com and we'll get that right out to you. Stay with us. We're going to come right back and talk about some of the headlines in our Street Noise segment. Stay with us.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower costs. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778, or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 023501.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by OC Wills and Trust.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio right here on KTLK AM 1150. We're in our Burbank studios, and we're talking about a couple of things that you can take advantage of. One is our e-guide, the 8 buyer mistakes to avoid, and you can get that simply by calling us at 888-888-2136 if you're out in the marketplace looking at homes. As you listen to us, if you're in and out of that broker preview or open house, you need the 8 mistakes to avoid in lending. These are very insightful, and they'll give you a clear direction on what to and what not to do as you go through the home buying process with getting a new loan. And then, of course, we had Joey Johnson, and Joey's giving us insights on what we've been talking about throughout our show, risk versus reward. And there is a certain lender of a certain rate of risk, Jay, that lenders are willing to take. Maybe it's softening a little bit where they recognize that most home buyers, if they're out there purchasing within range, whether it's at the bottom or top of their range, there's a probability that they're not going to have financial duress by simply buying a new home that they want to raise their family in because they got a mortgage with it. And I think that kind of discipline is good, but it's a balancing act.
You're right, Nelson. And life is complicated, and there's everything from kids and sports and schools and tuitions, and I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and you got to have that balance, and I think that's something that we're astute at. I mean, this is what we do in terms of most people, they're not fluent in the mortgage process. They're certainly not fluent in a lot of the jargon, but what we do is not only just walk them through that, but create some good coaching so that people aren't moving into this overextended place. And I kid around, Phil, about the sitcoms, the single income, 2 children, overwhelming mortgage, and it's something that's really a negative that we want to squash and push out of one of the most positive things in the world, which is buying a home.
Right.
And creating a home for your family. I know as a dad and a father and a husband, this is what I'm looking to do is to create that environment where it's memory makers and not looking dad stressed out or working till midnight because he's trying to figure out a way to make the mortgage payment kind of a thing.
There's a sense of pride and accomplishment. There's definitely some profound effects of owning a home successfully. We just came out of a very difficult time of foreclosures and short sales, and there's a bright side, and then there's also the risk. There's the risk, there's the reward, and having a team around you that supports you, helps you make sound decisions. Definitely is advantageous these days in this type of market. But
well, and here's the good news, and this is one of the headlines that I wanted to touch on briefly, and that is 49,000 less foreclosures in the month of July.
All right.
And there you have a positive indicator. Obviously, it becomes the scarlet A if somebody has lost a home in foreclosure. And even though the masses have gone through this during the Great Recession, it's still one of the most devastating blows, not just financially, but emotionally. Mm-hmm. When you look at your family being uprooted or a knock on the front door of your home just sold. I mean, it's invasive and it's violent and something that we want to curb. I thought it was such a great statistic to see that foreclosures are beginning to wane, and it's another signal, along with construction coming up. Another key indicator, which is in the good news category, an article came up talking about how there's been now a surge in the architectural industry.
Good.
People that are having plans drawn, remodels, building new homes, custom homes, and all of those, there's a surge there that sends the same signal, is that people, when they go out to buy a home or remodel a home, add a square footage to a property, they're doing it with a sense of optimism and assurance that, hey, this economy is not about to fail all over again. So I thought it was good news.
Great news. And the fact that there's 40%, I believe I heard you mention this, 40% of the home values have gone from negative to positive equity, which is helping out tremendously. The amount of homes that have been on the market, it's been a little bit tight as far as inventory, and now with the threat of increasing interest rates, when Bernanke spoke a month ago, 40 weeks ago, there was a dramatic change in interest rates and the disposition of a lot of sellers. Now they're jumping off the fence. They want to get their home on the market.
Yeah.
There's comps that now support the values. We're seeing some positive moves.
It's good stuff. And I want to spin right off that positive news and take a look, as we always do to close out each show, Treasures of Africa, our sponsor orphanage down in Moshi, Tanzania. There is this sweet sweet boy by the name of Raymond. And both his father and mother died of AIDS. He's now 10 years old. He's a happy young man at Treasures of Africa. He's loving the staff. He's playing soccer, riding bikes. He's playing with the older boys. He's got a sweet, sweet, tender heart, and he gives brotherly care to the other kids. There's now 50 kids at Treasures of Africa that are being brought up, not just receiving food and shelter and clean drinking water and education, but being brought up as community leaders so that they can come right back into the city of Moshi and make a difference so that it evolves out of this impoverished area. So I want to encourage you, Treasures of Africa, you can click through at nelsonradio.com. You'll see this bright young smile of little Raymond on our website, and you can also click to treasuresofafrica.org and sponsor little Raymond. And as well, there's one of you out there that can afford a $2 million donation, and that will build out the entire new compound, a 5-acre parcel that can house 126 children down here in Moshi, Tanzania. Been a great show. I really, really like the insights that Joey Johnson shared with us in his book, Worthy to Win. And we're going to be able to extend 20 e-copies of that book as you call in. Call me direct, 888-2136. I guarantee you it will give you some insight, some morsels that will help direct and guide your efforts in business, in home buying, and in the home financing process. Give us a call anytime. We want to hear from you. 888-888-2136. Thanks for listening. Thanks to J.O. Koo and Terrence Brandley, mortgage specialists, true professionals in our marketplace. We'll be back next week. Look forward to being with you.
Academy Mortgage Corporation is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations. NMLS number 331060. Corporate license number 4170013. Introducing the Lock and Shop Rate Guarantee from Academy Mortgage. Lock in today's low interest rates and continue shopping for your new home, knowing that your locked-in rate is waiting for you at the finish line, along with the keys to your dream home. Call or click to reach Academy Mortgage today. 888-888-2136 and lock in your rate. 888-888-2136 or strongcreditrewards.com.